Yo, 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 another day, another adventure with your homeboy Jermaine, and getting this vlog started off. Another day in London. What did I do earlier today? Woke up, had peanut butter and jelly because it was free at the hostel, that sort of thing. And then after that, I went over to Starbucks, worked on a couple videos, went over to the Apple store because I was looking for this connection cable so I can connect my iPhone to my headphones so I can hear music, that sort of thing. That thing was like, what, £9? Back in the US, those cost $9 plus tax. So it's £9. So it's actually slightly more here because whenever you buy stuff in pounds, they don't charge tax extra like they do in the US. So that's out of the way. So I thought in this video I would talk about London on a budget because a lot of people have been questioning, yo, Jermaine, how expensive is London? Because I think in the US we have this whole idea that like London uses the pound, and just because the pound is more expensive than the dollar, that just means that London is just more expensive. And that is not exactly the case. Some things are more expensive and some things are not. So I thought I would make a video and just talk about that. But yo, for now, let's get this video started. Okay, what neighborhood is this? I am trying to get back to Queen's Gate or Queen's Lane or that Royal Park over there. This way? Turn left? Is that park I was looking for? So first off, I thought I would point out, London is not a cheap city. London is actually pretty dang expensive. But on the flip side, I found a lot of really good deals here, and compared to New York City and San Francisco, I would have to say, wow, there are a lot of really good deals here. For example, if you are a budget backpacker and you are looking to stay in hostels, London, there are a ton of hostels for around, anywhere from $20 to $40 a night. In San Francisco, as well as New York, I typically never find a hostel no cheaper than $60 a night. So first off, hostels are a little bit cheaper. However, if you're a budget backpacker, you can definitely find a lot of good deals. There are so many hostels around, anywhere from $20 to $30 a night, which is pretty dang cheap. Now compared to San Francisco and New York, getting around the city, wow, you got a handful of options. Now, one of my favorite ways of getting around London is taking these bikes right here, these Santana bikes. They're really easy to use. It's about £2. It's about £2 for 24 hours. That's if you return the bike every 30 minutes and then you can request another bike. But I really like these Santana bikes. It's good for like 24 hours and it's only £2, yo, £2. That's not bad. That's like $2.60. Of course, there's these old school London black cabs. Get around. Now, of course, you can always take one of these old school London buses for £1.50, which is pretty reasonable. And of course, they have tuk-tuks too. I didn't know they had tuk-tuks here. Getting around, buses, trains, bikes, walking, taxis. Okay, you guys get it. I pretty much went over everything. And of course, there's Uber here. You can take an Uber. And there's probably London's version of Uber too. So yeah, there's those routes. Now, one thing I definitely want to point out, London has about, I think, 6 or 7 airports, if I'm not mistaken. There's a bunch of airports to fly into. If I'm not mistaken, the main airport is London Heathrow, but that is one of the most expensive airports to fly into. Now, myself, I've flown into London Stansted, and I've also flown into Gatwick. Let's talk about these 2 budget airports that I've flown into, Gatwick and Stansted. Both of these airports are pretty far away from central London. So when you fly into either one of these airports, you're gonna have to commute from the airport to the city. And you may wonder, how much does that cost? Well, it really depends. So from London Gatwick, there's like an express train and there's also like a local train. Both of those trains are pricey. What I mean by pricey, they're about $25 each. Now, I don't exactly remember how much the express train was because I took the slower train and I remember it being around like $25. And it's one thing to remember when you book your flights, you may want to check what airport you are flying into. Because like I say, London has more than one airport. There's more than 6 airports in the London area. So if you think you're flying into Heathrow, which is the closer airport, but you're actually flying into Gatwick, you might want to take that into consideration, because you definitely do not want to just jump into a taxi from London Gatwick and take it all the way to the city, because that's going to be one expensive taxi ride. However, if you fly into London Heathrow, it's going to be still an expensive taxi ride, but it's going to be a whole lot cheaper than flying into Gatwick, because Heathrow is so much closer. So that's a little bit of airport talk for you right now. Now, and next question, what's the best areas to stay in? Now, this is a question I just can't really just answer, because it really depends on you. It really depends on what you're into. If you're into nightlife, maybe you want to stay in an area that's closer to nightlife. If you're into museums, maybe you want to stay in an area that's close to museums. If you don't like central London, if you don't like the busyness, the craziness, if you don't like all the people walking out in front of the street and all the cars honking, if you don't like any of that, I would say don't stay in central London. It just really depends on what you like. Whenever I come to London, I love staying in central London because it's very different from places that I normally stay in. And it also kind of reminds me of New York and San Francisco a little bit, but at the same time, it really doesn't remind me of San Francisco and New York, because central London is just so much different. I'd say one of my favorite neighborhoods in the city is the Brick Lane area. I just really like the Brick Lane area. I don't know why I like it. Maybe because it's a lot of hipsters that hang out there. There's also a lot of vegan restaurants. There's also tons of just places popping up. There's so much artwork all over the wall. There's so much to see there. There's so many people there. There's just so much going on there all the time. It's just one of my favorite parts of the city. But maybe you like museums. Maybe you like nightlife. Maybe you like raging bars. Maybe you like clubs. Maybe you're religious, and maybe you don't like any of that stuff I just named. Believe me, they have all of that right here in London. They got it all right here for you, for me, for all of us, yo. About food, how much does a meal cost? Now, guys, pretty much all this year, all of my trips, I've really been basing them off of San Francisco when I think of how expensive a place is. And a lot of places I've went to this year, it hasn't really been that expensive, because I'm judging it from San Francisco. London, I would say, just eating out, believe it or not, you can find some crazy expensive food if that's what you are looking for. And if you are looking for something, like a kebab or something from McDonald's that's super cheap, or if you just want something like I don't know, like they have these little convenience stores called Petra. They're not convenience stores, it's like a coffee shop, and they have these little wraps that you can buy. It's really cheap. It's maybe 3 or 4 pounds each. That's an option. There's a whole bunch of things to choose from. You don't necessarily have to go to a fancy restaurant. There's so many cheap options. I don't really see a lot of street food here, but there's a lot of places that have street type food that you can get for super cheap. And what I mean by super cheap, let me give you guys some numbers. So earlier today I had a falafel. It was about 5 pounds. Yesterday I remember getting a cup of coffee. It was about 4 pounds. Now I have to say, coffee is not really cheap here. It seems like coffee is more expensive than beer. I always see signs that say Guinness for 3 pounds, but then when I go to Starbucks, I get coffee and it's $3.50. So yeah, I guess coffee costs more than beer. Yeah, something like that. Just to throw that out there. If you're looking for budget flights, since we're talking about budgeting, since we're talking about budget, since we're talking about saving money, since we're talking about traveling on the low, since we're talking about traveling on the cheap, I would say check out Norwegian Airlines or check out WOW Airlines. Now, WOW Airlines and Norwegian Airlines, they're budget airlines. They fly from the U.S., go to Europe. Now, if you are on the East Coast of the U.S., I would say check out Premier Air. I actually flew from Boston to London on Premier Air, and it was $99. I don't know if you guys think that's cheap, but I'm just gonna say that's a really good deal. $99, that's a really good deal. I mean, some bus tickets in the U.S. are $99, and to fly from the U.S. all the way to the U.K. for $99. Now, I did not say how much the return flight was, because that was just a special deal going there and coming back. I think it's $250 or $300, but that's still a whole lot cheaper than $1,000 to travel to Europe. You know, that's like roughly $400 or $500. I really should point this out, but Norwegian Airlines, WOW Airlines, and Premier Airlines, no one paid me to say their names. I'm just letting you guys know that they have really, really good deals, and I want to see more people travel, so I gotta spread the word, spread the secrets, you know what I'm saying? Definitely don't forget about Airbnb. Airbnb is definitely an option. A lot of times in places like London, Airbnb can kinda be on the expensive side, so that's why I really haven't did an Airbnb on this trip. And also another reason why I kind of avoided Airbnb is a lot of times it can be hard to meet people if you're staying in an Airbnb and you're traveling solo like I am. There's also hotels, and I've actually noticed that you can get some really good deals on hotels around here. It really depends on, once again, the neighborhood and also the season. This is my second trip to London this year. Now earlier this year I noticed, wow, it's definitely a lot more deals out there because it was earlier in the year and the weather was not so nice. But now I've been here for 6 days and it has been stunning every day. Every day has been a beautiful sunny California day, and yeah, more people want to be here and prices tend to go up. Definitely check the seasons, but also remember you might not want to show up here in the middle of January or February because it might be cold, it might be raining, and you might need a jacket. Hey guys, now something that's very, very important about London, now this is taking me some time to get used to, is everyone drives on the opposite side of the street. So back in the US, I'm very used to looking this way to cross the street. I'm just always used to looking this way. Like this, it's just normal for me to look this way. It's not normal for me to look this way. And it's actually very difficult to look this way. But when you're here, you need to look this way because when you get ready to cross the street, the cars come from this way instead of this way. Once again, back in the US, I'm used to looking this way instead of this way. So when you're riding a bike or crossing the street, or if you're driving, you don't forget to look this way, because this way is the important way. You want to look this way too, but this way is the way you want to look. Let's cross the street. Wow, look at all these bikers. Gosh, I need a skateboard right about now. Sometimes it's written on the ground, look both ways. Sometimes it's not. Okay, secret tip. If you want to save a lot of money on a hot day in London, you know what you should do? Bring a bottle and fill it up with water. Believe me, you'll save tons of money. The other day, I think I spent roughly about $8 on just bottled water, when if I would have just had a bottle, I could have just filled it up and filled it up and filled it up and filled it up and kept $8. Hint, hint, the bottle thing, it works everywhere. Now, if you like me, you're always running around, you're always going from place to place to place, and you just want to go somewhere and just get away from people and get away from the sun, get away from all the concrete and all the heat, and just get away from everything, I would say just hit up a park. Hit up one of the royal parks. There's so many parks in London you can go to. You can go and grab a lunch and have a little picnic at the park. I don't necessarily know if you can drink at the park, but I'm not gonna put that advice out there. But yeah, I would say hit up a park on an afternoon, especially a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon. I was at a park on Sunday afternoon, and it was just so much fun. There was so many people out, and there was just so much going on. And I met a couple people from the hostel, and we were all out chilling, and it was just a really good time. And yeah, it was just a chill day. So don't forget about parks. There's tons of those. But these are all things that I can recommend to you on a nice sunny day. And on this trip that I've been back in London, it has been nice every single day. So what to do on a rainy day? There's tons of stuff to do on a rainy day. There's museums, there's malls, there's movies. I mean, I don't know. I don't really watch movies, but I know there's a lot of people out there when you're traveling, you always want to stop and catch up on your movies, that, you know, those new blockbusters that are out. I'm pretty sure there's movie theaters around here. Let's not forget, this is England, and they have kings and queens and royalty. And forget there's so many like things to see, like the museums and like the palaces, and I'm pretty sure there's a couple castles around here, and there's all sorts of memorials, and there's so many statues of this king and this queen, and so many monuments around it. If you come here for that, I mean, that can take up your whole trip just right there. Hey, so let's not forget about dating apps, because dating apps definitely exist, and for some reason this is one of those places that I'm just getting a lot of attention. So there's definitely dating apps. There's also couch surfing. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but couch surfing is this site where you can crash on someone's couch. They also have this option where you can meet locals. For example, like I just flew here and I don't know anyone, so I can go to the app and find a local that's here, and maybe we can meet up for coffee, or we can meet for a drink, or we can meet for like a walking tour. Like they have all sorts of options on the app, and that's one way you can meet people when you are out solo traveling, is hit up the couchsurfing app. And also you might be able to find a free place to crash too. That might be even better, right? Free place to crash and friends. What's better than a free place to crash and friends, especially when you're in a brand new place and you don't know anyone. Now this is my last piece of advice, because I'm gonna wrap this video up. My last thing I got to say is come to London, because it's not intimidating. They speak English. So if you're from the US and you only know one language like me, like most folks from my country, it's cool, because over here in England, they speak English, and they speak a little bit different. It's all British English, and yeah, it's really, really beautiful. I love the accents there. I love talking to British people. It's so awesome. But anyway, that's enough for this video. I just wanted to give some tips about coming to London. Can you do it on a budget? Is it cheap? It's definitely not cheap, but you can do it cheap. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and yo, I'm out.